and you got to troll against the current. That's not true. It's all speed. You can be going against the current if they're slow, if they're fast. You're going to be going down with the current. You're going to be bumping the bottom. A walleye just as fast as any fish there is if you got the stable weather conditions. If you got an island, Jeff Cooch has worked this island here in the Detroit River. You got little fingers coming out here, here. This side down here is more flat. This side here you got fingers going to the river channel. If you're going to troll for walleyes, you got your bar. Every island you find where you got current, you got two bars. You got one on top, one on bottom. The one on top is going to be more hard, the bottom one's going to be soft. You don't have to walk bottom, just get close, get over the top of a break line. If you put a marker here, you put a marker up here, it's the same thing. You straight line pass it both ways, you come down the sides, and you go deeper and deeper. You're going to cover the fingers going to the river channel. The river channel, the current's coming this way. You're going to cover the fingers. You're going to touch everything. If you get it mark your shallows, 8 to 10 foot. Put a marker out there. I don't care if it's a natural lake, it's a river, no matter what it is. Mark the bar on the shallows. It gives you a reference point. You know where you're at. You got something to line up with. You can line that marker up with a pine tree over here. You can line it up with a house over here. It don't matter. Get yourself a reference point. If you got a reference point, you can straight line pass everything. You can come down the sides. These fingers down here, you're going to cover them when you make your straight passes. Your shallow waters, you got your marker at 8 to 10 foot. You're up down to 250. You're going to cover all that water. That's all trolling water. You're going to cover every bit of it. That's the shallows. You're going to contour troll it. When you start making your straight line passes, you're going to cover these fingers down here. You're going to cover fish that are suspended over the break lines and the river channels. Everything. If you don't hit anything, find the last deepest break line going in the channel. I don't care if your channel's 36 foot and you got one at 28, troll that break line in the channel. If the fish, if you know they're not up here, they're in the channel, you're going to hit them. Walleyes, the only thing different with walleye from other fish, if you're trolling and your spoon plug stops working, set that hook he's got in his mouth. When that thing quits working, they're picking it up, and they're going to swim with it. If you're getting a little tiny tap, and they ain't taking it, throw that line back, kill it right in his face. His mouth is open, he's going to pick it up, come right back with it, you're going to get him. That's most of the difference. And walleyes in the evening are going to move up out of that channel, and if that break line, that channel, say is 26 to 30 foot, say your next break line is at 18 foot, instead of coming up, sometimes the walleyes will move up and suspend, and they'll suspend at 18 foot and then move in. But if you make your straight line passes, like Buck Perry says right by the book, you're going to take care of all the suspended fish. Because the time you make a straight line pass and turn around in the channel, you're running the depth where the walleye are going to be, and they're going to pick it up. If you got the right speed and the right depth, they're going to pick it up. If you got a river channel cutting in, and that river channel's cutting in on the side of a bar, this is a steep side of the bar. Chances are that bar is going to be hard on top, it's going to be rock. Those walleye are going to move up right there. If they move up there and hit a break line, they could be down here, they could be up here, they could be anywhere on that bar. But if you troll that bar by the book like you're supposed to, and you check everything, you're going to pick up fish. And you're going to pick up bass, you're going to pick up muskies. Me and Dale were over here on a bar similar to this on the Detroit River. Going upstream, we were picking up walleyes all over the end of the bar everywhere. Coming downstream, we pick up muskies off the finger. They weren't big, but they were there, they were fun. If your river channel, your deepest break line into the river channel, John Bale says if you got 40 foot in that river channel and they're not up to fish that river channel, the last deepest break line into the river channel. And that's where those big walleyes are going to be. You got humps that come up to 8 foot. How many times you run across a hump in a lake? They're all over the place. If you got a hump, if that's 8 foot, or that hump could be 16 foot. Walleyes and northern's going to use it. Smallmouths maybe, the bass might not use it. But you find a hump and throw a marker on it, right on the middle of that hump, and just start a straight line passing it. Not just to troll the 8 foot, you're checking what's on top. See what the hell the break lines are, where the deepest water is. You get a sharp break line right here where it drops off. Bug says the longest, steepest, fastest break that goes all the way, chances are the fish are going to move up right there. They may be here too, because that's a longer sloping bar and that's going to be a summertime mode. But the thing is, when you troll it, check it all. Don't leave nothing uncovered. If you got this bar right here, and say you got a break line at 12 foot, you got a break line at 18 foot. Okay, all you're looking at, there's your land. Here's 12 foot, here's 18 foot. You take that bar, that's what you're going to fish, 12 and 18. The rest of that bar is dead. Those fish are going to be on those break lines. If they're moving across there, they're going to move from one break line to the other. But if you fish that like you're supposed to and troll it, by starting out in the shallows, you're going to contour troll down to 250. When you get past that, it's going to be straight line passes, up, down, back, out. Keep working your way all the way down. You hit deep water. And walleye is not going to make no difference. I don't care what fish it is. If you go by the book, you're going to catch them. Walleyes and northern pike like to suspend. And if you work your bars and everything like you're supposed to, you're going to take care of all the suspended fish. Right, Johnny?
Absolutely.
You know, all you got to do if you have a problem, call somebody or go right back to the book. Because everybody's going to screw up. It just happens, you know. But if you think you're not catching them and you're working everything right, if you got a bar, you got a nice bar here, you got 50 foot of water there, and you're wondering, God, I wonder if the fish are going to use that bar, and you got 40 foot out here, and you got 10 foot right here. Bug says the shallows are 8 to 10 foot, and anything deeper is a deep water. He ain't telling you that so that you know where the shallows are and what the deep water is. He's telling you that because if you got 10 foot, and I don't give a shit if it's a 10 foot flat going to nowhere, if you've got 10 foot of water, those fish are going to use that. That's the shallows. And you always mark, you put a marker at 8 to 10 foot on a bar. And then you got all this, you can do all your contour trolling and everything. When you get below that 8 to 10 foot, then it's straight line passes. And your straight line passes, you're running all the way up each side, deeper and deeper and deeper. You cover that whole bar. If you don't hit any fish, anchor. Fan cast that whole thing. If you don't hit any fish then, and you know right here, when you come off your marker and you seen it right here, and it went from 14 to 22 foot, and you had 40 foot of water out here, you know those fish are coming up right there. And if you didn't hit anything, it's because they ain't there. You can't catch something that ain't there. But you know it. You mapped it out. You know it. You got it in your pocket. You know where that spot is. You know where to drop a marker. You got shoreline sightings. Just go troll for stragglers, but always come back and check that spot. Because those fish can move up. And walleyes, if you got 8 foot up here on this bar, and it's all nice hard gravel, I'll guarantee you those walleyes hit that 22 foot in the evening. Those walleyes will beat all the way up to that 8 foot, just like Mona Lake. Mona Lake, those suckers be up there with their damn dorsal fin sticking out of the water, and everybody's out there fishing 8 to 12 feet.
Hey, John.
But if you don't check the shallows, you ain't gonna know they're there.
That's a typical bar on Mona Lake. You know, on a lot of the bars, where the ends of the bars are so flat that the contact points are on the sides of the bars.
You know?
On
That-
Mona.
Yeah, they'll move on the side,
Yeah.
but if you mark your tip, your 8 to 10, and you do your trolling by the book,
You'll find it.
you're gonna cover all that. You're gonna find it.
Fish will tell you where they're at.
Yeah, that's why you got flashers. When you're going off, you're down here running say a 100, and you come into 12 foot and say, oh, that walk's nice, and you keep going and going and going. Pretty soon it's a big ass 16 foot flat. You know that ain't no good. You come back this way and you walk off the bar, and all of a sudden that sucker goes to 40 feet. That tells you something right there. But I'll tell you what, 70% of these spoon players got to get their head out of their ass and start doing stuff by the book, because it isn't right. You got to do it by the book. If you do, you're going to find the fish. And I don't care if it's a natural lake, if it's a river, if it's an impoundment, or no matter what it is. And you see people passing up these humps all the time, and some of these humps are the most productive structures that we got anywhere. And a lot of them come up shallow, don't they, Johnny? Any questions? Anything anybody wants to add?
John, you, oh, go ahead. Well,
In the cold weather period, the bass will use that 16-foot hump. Mark my words.
Yeah, in the fall and in the
Or a
winter.
20-foot hump. They will use it in the cold weather. Mark my. Never pass one up. In November, December, October, never pass one of them deep humps up. Or the break lines around. Never. For big largemouths, because they're there.
Don't ever pass anything up without checking it out.
Might not be there in the summer, but I guarantee you, in the cold, when the water starts getting cold, that's where the big largemouth will be. On that hump or on the break line, sure.
John, you mentioned about putting a marker in a current, in a heavy current in a river. Why don't you tell them how you do that?
Get a mark. If you're marking for your shallow water, you're marking 8 to 10. Run a 15-foot line for your current toe, and put about a 2 to 3 pound weight on it. And if you got your current's coming this way, and you put that marker, if you drop that marker, you cut across the end of that bar, and that thing comes up to 10 and goes back down. You drop that marker, throw it in at 8 foot. At 8 foot, it's out of your way for your straight line passes. It's coming this way. That marker's going to end up here. And it don't matter where you put a marker at on a bar. If you're 25 yards out of position, it don't mean nothing. Because that marker, you know, when you first pass, you're going to know where your marker's setting at, even if it's out of position. Anything you want to line up on, just make a straight line pass. It's so simple, everybody tries to complicate this stuff, and it's not complicated. Buck Perry spent his lifetime doing everything. He built the spoon plugs, he wrote the book, he designed everything, the rods, the reels, every damn thing we needed, and figured it out to a T, and most of us can't even figure out how to use them. And he gives us a book to read to go by the book. It's so simple.
I got a question. Let's say you got a break line from 16 to 24 feet. And you're concentrating at the top of the break line at 16 feet. But how do you, I mean, if the fish move, will they move up halfway up that break line, or do they all the way zip to the top, or do you need to cover that 20 feet of water?
If there's no breaks on that 16 on down, if there's no breaks, which could be a rock, a stump, a hard spot, if there's no breaks on it, when they hit that and there's nothing there to hold them, and it's not that far of a distance, they're going to go all the way up, especially a walleye. But if you got a ledge or a hard spot in there or anything, they're going to stop and pause there. But when you troll it, you're moving in and out, and you're going to touch it. They're gonna. If you touch it and they're there and they're active, they're going to pick it up. If they're not active, if you touch it, might even pick it up. But you got whenever you mark a spot, the end of bar, a hump. It don't matter. Whatever spot, when you drop that marker, you work that whole area. And if you know the deepest water out here, you say, well, I only got 21 foot out here. Guess what? Buck Perry says the deepest water in the area, not in the lake. If you got 21 foot out there and you got watercolor, it don't matter. That's all those fish got. That's their home. They're going to use it. And the only way you're going to find out about it is to check it out, and that fish is going to tell you if he's using it or not. But if you don't work every bit of it all the way and let the fish tell you that he's using it, you're missing the whole ball game. And John Bales will get his rod out and start whipping you.
Hey, John, that area over there on White Lake, the one by the fancy dock, it's got those few little fingers. You fished it. Why don't you diagram that? I think that's a situation I think we run into a lot in our lakes up here, and I think there's a lot to learn off of that
Where's
one.
Williams at? Get up here, Joe.
No.
Get up here, you alcoholic.
Hey, the only bar I like is the one that's open 24 hours.
Buck's gonna love
And
it.
it doesn't have no sharp breaks, does it, Jim?
One thing that Jim, he's honest.
There.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's your finger. Show them why those pike come up there.
Where's that at? Oh, my spot.
That's your inside bend.
Well,
Beauty.
I found the pike there. I couldn't figure out why the hell them pike are up in here. There's a point here that drops out deep water here. 50 feet somewhere in there. Deep water in here, then out here it comes on in about like 32, and then through here I was picking up at there's like a 22, 24, then 26, 28. There's a break line. And I started picking them up one after another. I said, what the hell, there's something in here that I don't understand. So a little more rope on it. I just found hard bottom there. Some really good hard bottom in here. And then it's 22, 24. But then I'll suspend out at the 26 and 28 from it. And I went on that 26, 28, one after another, after another, after another. Love it. But that's why they were there. But I don't know. Really, actually, I didn't figure it out. I didn't have to really figure out where he come in from. Over on this side, they dredged it out, took sand out of there, and it just drops right off the shore, right straight down. There's nothing there to hold fish, nothing there to. It's different. But I don't think that's where they come up. They come up over here, but pike don't fool around. When they come up, they move to where they want to be at. But they don't have to worry about where they want to be at here because it's in deep water. If you go in close over here, you're gonna start tearing your stuff up, getting a lot of weeds on it. You don't have to. Just right there, they just spin right through there like hell. That's it. There's a lot of them in here.
I think what a lot of those pike do though, when they do come up on there, the northern will suspend just like walleye do. They'll hit that break line, that hard stuff. If that hard stuff's at 22, they'll move up and suspend. then they'll move into the 22 foot.
But I got them, they like to come up on the bait when they're hot and they're blowing good. I'll run my bait 5 to 7 feet off the top of fish, the top of where I'm at, right? They like to come up and nail it down instead of putting it right on their nose. Bass, you gotta put it right on their face.
John, I think you hit it right on the head with most of your diagrams and most of your presentation of lures. If you cover everything by the book, contour, troll the shallows, throw your markers, find your fingers, go by the book, make straight line passes below 8 to 10 feet, you get all the answers you want. As you fish something, as you find something, as you move along a little later on, you might fish it again and find out a little more about it, find out a little more will be answered in a matter of time.
You know, whenever you're trolling, whenever you're contour trolling with your smaller lures, keep moving in and out. If you don't move, if you get walking and you just keep walking all the way around the bar, you ain't accomplished nothing. You gotta hit and miss, hit and miss.
Yeah, you can find a difference in bottom consistency. Your spoon plug will tell you 100,000 times more than a damn meter will when you find a little bit harder, a little bit softer, a little bit harder, a little bit softer. And the only way you ever find that is with a spoon plug. You never find it with a meter. They'll tell you what's down there.
Danny Moon, I see you're not talking. Do you have any questions?
Back to the walleye
have to
situation in the river, will they take it when it is bumping, or do you usually?
They'll take it bumping. If they're moving up and they're on their way up or they're suspended, they'll take it when you come off bumping. But whenever you bump it, it excites a fish.
Yeah.
Like I told Danny, like if they had a great big hook with a cheeseburger on it, dropped down from outer space and was skipping across that picnic table, you ain't gonna grab it till it leaves the table. Oh, boy.
Nice talk, John.
Very good.